Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show, Friday, September 19th, third hour. Can only mean one thing on this show because of a dire lack of creativity. It's what just happened. And we continue. And look who's here. Two great people. Liz Miele, my friend, who's been on Comedy Central, Fox, Access TV, Hulu, and other places we're going to be boycotting because they're connected to Disney. She has a brand new comedy album out, Space Camp, which we'll talk about more later. But check out Space Camp. Liz, good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm just honored to be able to talk on TV. Oh, is this not TV? God damn it.
It's online, but this is all we're going to be. We're going to be doing these from random cars. So Pete's getting ready for when comedians are on the run from the Trump forces. He's doing it from a car. I'm not even kidding, folks. Stand Up with Pete Dominick, which you have to subscribe to. It's a great podcast. I've been on it. Glenn Kirshner, so many great people have been on it. Stand-up comic, podcaster, news commentator. I just saw him on CNN this week doing a good job with Laura Coates. I like Laura. She's the only person I think I like left there. Hello, Pete. Nice to see you. Thanks for making time in your car.
Dean, I am living in my car now. Things have gotten really bad since I last saw you and Liz. Since when I would chant, "The Muslims will not replace me," I didn't think they actually would at SiriusXM.
Wow. I'm on a different channel that you were, but yes, that's part of it. So now Pete's doing a pilot for comedians living in their car. It's a new show. Right. What was it, Jerry Seinfeld thing? Comics in car, coffee in a car?
Comedians drinking coffees in cars? Comedians in cars drinking coffee.
That was it. Unless you're a Palestinian, you're not allowed in the car because Jerry doesn't like Palestinians. Let's talk about some fun stuff here. Wow, this is some week. We're going to spend a lot of time on Jimmy Kimmel thing from different angles because I think it's so important because we're all in the industry of using our words and expression to convey what we're about, our own self-worth as a people, and our careers, our profession, our income is all from this. So we'll just start with the simplest thing. I mean, Liz, we all saw it play out in real time. It began on the right. They were upset about Jimmy's joke. Then they turned it into Jimmy's comments about Charlie Kirk, which was a lie. He didn't say anything about Kirk. And then it got to Brendan Carr, the FCC chair on Benny Johnson's podcast, threatening point blank ABC, you either discipline him, and he raised the idea of suspension, or we're coming for you, saying we can do this the easy way or the hard way, like he's the FCC freedom of speech sheriff. This is where we are as a country, and ABC took the easy way out. So just what's your reaction to this?
I mean, I think what's wild is just like the selective hearing because he came on his show and was like, "Hey, this is a tragedy. Nobody should lose their life like this." Right. And then he went back to making the jokes that he makes and truthfully, nobody plays the full clip where he's just talking about the fact that a reporter asked him, "How are you dealing with the loss of your friend?" And he immediately launched into talking about his ballroom. Like, this is insane that and also we've seen people say really messed up stuff on TV.
Right.
The Fox guy that said that we should kill homeless people. We've seen people say really messed up stuff and it just float right over. Like they, after Colbert, he flat out said he's coming for Kimmel. Like this was just an excuse to
in writing. Jimmy Kimmel's neck, right? You're absolutely right. And the thing is, in the first term, well, Pete, let me just get your reaction to it. Then we'll break it down a little bit more granular from different angles because you were on CNN talking about it so that you and everyone on the set are the only one watching. So they heard that because CNN's, I'm kidding. So what is your take? Like, how stunned were you about this happening to Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, I do want to say that I was on CNN twice. You talk about the Laura Coates thing. And then I was on with Boris Sanchez the next day. And I like Boris, but I bring it up not to plug that I'm on TV so much. And now I live in my car, but to say that I kind of got in an argument with Boris Sanchez because I feel like everybody is framing this wrong. And I simply said, this was not about what Jimmy Kimmel said. This is about Project 2025 and the fact that Brendan Carr is now in charge of the FCC, wrote the part about what the FCC would do if they were to take over. And they're carrying out exactly what they said would do. So I said to Boris, I go, if you're a journalist who covered the campaign, you should know at least a little bit about Project 2025. Certainly, you should have been read in on this. And that's what this is about. That's
what did Boris say? I'm trying to challenge Boris Sanchez on air. What did he say?
Well, everybody started getting mad at me because he's so good looking.
Oh, exactly.
And also, Liz and others have reacted to that comment that Trump made, how he just, the reporter asked him, how are you feeling? Your friend has died. And then he was like, I'm pretty good. And he pivoted. I don't think that was that bad. I recently had that happen to me. My uncle passed away tragically. and someone asked how you've been doing, and I was just like, I'm fine. I got a new Honda Civic. And I took that guy for a ride. So I don't think it's that weird.
No, and the whole joke, because I played it on my show last night, because again, Liz, people are just playing. I saw some people like going, well, the joke wasn't funny. And then all they were talking about was the setup part. That was the setup. Here's a joke. You know what, folks? Little tip. The setup generally isn't funny. The punchline is where the comedy comes in, jackasses. And there's some very famous host. I can't say his name because he works at SiriusXM now.
Dean, I didn't know. Dean, I didn't know you understood that about comedy.
I did. I read a book about comedy. Was it Judy something's book about comedy? And there's setup and punchline. And it said here, so the setup was, we hit some new lows over the weekend. MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. That's really the part that got them mad. The joke part is, then he goes and Donald Trump's dealing with it. And that clip, and it's funny, I played that same clip on Friday on my show last Friday when it happened, because I thought it was so jarring. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, it wasn't even funny. I'm like, is this more cognitive decline? Did Donald Trump literally forget that his friend was killed? Because we on my show, we've had a lot of experts and detailed his dementia. But the joke was about Donald Trump instantly goes, and by the way, you see those trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House. And no one's been able to do this for 150 years. And it's going to be beautiful and great. And the audience, when Jimmy played that, he didn't even get to the punchline. They began laughing because they realized something is wrong here. Like, we laugh because our brains are like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And that was the interesting thing. That was the joke. But they don't want to play. Corporate media doesn't want to play the whole joke. And I don't know why. I mean, Pete,
But it isn't about that. I mean, at the end of the day, they were looking for any excuse to get rid of him. Right. So it's like people keep being like, what did he say? What did he say? But it's like they already told us they were going to get rid of him. And it is funny that you say that, Pete, about like Project 2025. There was some quote or something that said that like 85% of it has been done already. Like, they told us what they were going to do, and 85% of it in 8 months, 9 months have been done.
Yeah, they're making up things to fire people. They're doing the same thing with the woman Lisa Cook at the Fed. Like, they're finding different reasons that they can just fire people. And now, obviously, teachers and Board of Education members, so many people lost their jobs in the last few days as a result of Charlie Kirk. So it's not only the federal government doing it, but it's local governments canning Board of Education members and teachers and so on for their reactions. They're just using this or anything to fire anybody who doesn't, pay homage or who criticizes our dear leader, our mad king.
It's also the media's this idea of fact checking Jimmy Kimmel. Well, the prosecutors said this about the shooter. Well, they actually said that the next day. Jimmy's joke was on Monday night. The prosecutors came out Tuesday and released this information. But I saw some media people, and especially Fox News, going, well, Jimmy Kimmel lied, so he should apologize. You support Donald Trump, a man who was convicted of falsifying business records and lies every single day.
You're allowed to lie on TV. He's not under oath. He's a comedian. You're
He's an entertainer. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, the whole point. Do you think when he has like people dress up as other people they're real? Like, it's just, it's like, what do we do? What are we doing here? Like, we watch news where they lie. So I don't understand why. I mean, it's been said over and over again, but I think Jon Stewart said it. Like, why do we hold comedians to a higher standards than we do our politicians? Like, it's wild.
Can we get Jon Stewart on the show? What do you guys think?
I think we can.
Who did you do warm up for? Colbert?
I did everyone. You name it. Who did I not? Jon Stewart hired me, but before that, I did a ton of terrible shows. But Jon Stewart hired me at the Daily Show, and then Colbert stole me, and then I stayed with him for 6 years. And recently, I was with John Oliver. But those days are all. I've retired.
You've retired from all of that?
Getting to work with all of those guys is the reason why, I did what I started doing in radio and created the channel that we were on and so on, so they've been, I'm not sure why you asked, but they've been a huge inspiration.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, we're having a conversation like human beings.
It didn't seem like,
does it have to be like stilted radio bullshit where I'm like, here's question 3. Can we just talk?
I know, but
it
just didn't seem like a genuine or thoughtful question that furthered the conversation. And Liz seemed bored.
First of all, it was the most thoughtful question I've ever asked. So first of all, right
I mean,
there.
I really do feel like we're just three people that have known each other for 20 years.
Why
So
is Liz
Right.
leaving?
yeah.
This is thing. We're continuing with what just happened. Liz Miele and Pete Dominick, neither can go because then it's just me talking alone. And that's that. Nobody wants that. So, all right. So we saw there's a lot of like things to peel away. The same people who denounced cancel culture are now giddy. They're giddy over this. And now they're coming up with the idea it's not cancel, it's consequence culture, which we used to say on the left, it's consequence culture. You say something, you're held responsible for it. So this is, I don't really know how they have any credibility going forward. They have no credibility in my eyes as well. I don't know what this unearths. Like, what happens next? That's the kind of question. And so, Liz, I mean, where do you think this is going? Especially in terms of Donald Trump. He is threatening everything. He's going to make Antifa, which doesn't really exist as an organization, label it a terrorist group. Legally, he can't do that. He doesn't have the power. He would need Congress to give him that power. He doesn't have that. That's not the point. They're going after everybody. They're going after everybody. So where do you think this goes? And there's no wrong answers. There's just prizes. So what do you think? Where are we going?
Oh, great. I mean, they've already told us between his tweets and Project 2025 what they're going to do. I mean, I think he is trying to take anybody that smears him off TV. And like, it's so interesting because with like Colbert, it was based on a merger. So that's where like I had a little bit of solace, but I don't pay, like, I pay attention to politics, but I don't pay attention to business garbage. But because business garbage is now politics, right? Because you have Meta and Apple all, sucking everybody off. Like, like this is what it is. So the fact that this again happened because people are looking for favoritism and deals and mergers, that like anytime anybody needs something, it's going to affect anybody that's the lowest on the rung.
No matter who you are, whatever entity you are, if you're a major media company, law firm, or university, you need the federal government. You work with the federal government for all kinds of different reasons. Nobody ever really thought that the federal government would be run by mafia bosses who learn from mafia bosses. And so what they're doing, obviously, is they're extorting all of these different entities to get what they want out of them. And they're all, I'm not going to say having to bend the knee, but they certainly, this is a time of the great capitulation is what I'm calling it.
It is the great capitulation. So look, we know Trump yesterday was saying the licenses have to be looked at. They're critical of me. And a lot of people are like, well, we have independent media, but I don't think that's going to escape it, because once you get through the broadcast networks, it's not like the FCC regulates Spotify or YouTube, but there's a lot of, these are big companies involved. And the Trump administration can sign an executive order saying they're doing DEI programs. You have to go in there and look at them, whatever. To go, because I think people are too much like, well, he'll go after the big networks, but we still have platforms like YouTube and where podcasts are. They're going to go after everything. At least that's what I think. I mean, Liz, do you think they go after next to platforms that host shows that are critical, be it the great Pete Dominick show or Midas Touch guys who are really, really popular, Pod Saves America? Like, you go after the platforms that they're on.
Yeah, I mean, I think because this involves businesses and again, I don't know the intricacies of how this all intertwines, but if they have any little way that they can manipulate it, they're going to. What is he just going to silence the major four people that he doesn't like making jokes about him? He's going to silence anybody. I mean, the whole point is that only what he wants out there should be out there. I mean, this is the beginning of um not just propaganda, because propaganda is already out there, but what is it when you only are able to get sanctioned material, like what they do in Russia, where they don't even know what's going on in Ukraine?
It's authoritarianism. It's the government managing the media. As David Letterman, are you familiar with his work, said to Jeffrey Goldberg yesterday, it's authoritarian government. It's state-run media. The state decides who can get a license to broadcast and what all of us can say and can't say. And as Greg Proops posted the other day, we're going to be left with one network. It's like the Oral Roberts show and Hee Haw.
I would watch Hee Haw. I mean, I'm not gonna.
I would too.
I mean, when I was a kid, it was on. It was kind of funny. But or I'm not watching that. So those are the two options. I'm gonna go with B. Watch that as much as possible. But Pete, what do you think? Look, there are people like yourself making an amazing living, as we can tell from your car house that you're in right now. And no, but or on all these things. No, they're on Substack. They're on what's the one that Patreon, that kind of stuff, right? These are still companies. Like this regime will go after them too. That's what I'm worried about. Like once you get through the big four and the networks, you control them, then it's silencing the next big level of actors who are speaking out. And it's going to be the Substacks. And then we're just left word of mouth. I mean, that's what we're down to. Pigeons with notes again.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that. Obviously, it's already bad enough living in a Honda Civic with 9 Patreon subscribers. Patreon.com.
Is that part of the bonuses? Like if they a certain level, you can live with my car with me.
If you pay $10 a month, I'll drive you to a local gas station to get a slushie.
So you're an Uber driver. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounded like a dad to me, but yeah.
That's right. That's very kind. That's right. Wake up, kids. Let's go. It's time for field hockey practice.
Yeah, I'll just drive my windowless white van over and pick up your kids. So I think I'm very worried about it. They, when they come for the comedians, it's pretty bad. They come for the comedians first, often in ways. But when they come for David Pakman, that's when I'll panic. Dean.
So you have a whole list. Like people always ask me, I'm like, when Tom Hartman is off the air one day,
right?
I'm like, what happened to Tom Hartman? Like nobody knows. I'm like, okay, we're gonna tone it down now.
I have a hard time. I don't know enough about technology. I have seen a lot of activists talking about we have to build our own platforms. I've talked with Jeff Jarvis about this, who's an expert about it. I don't think it gets there, and I may be naive, but I don't think they come for Substack and Patreon and YouTube. And depends also maybe on how influential you are. So when they come for the Pod Saves America, the Bulwark, the Midas Touch guys, I'll start to worry about that. But I think those guys will, the bigs, the middles, and the smalls will all figure out ways to adapt so that we can keep broadcasting. I think that we'll be able to find ways to continue doing our work and to continue getting paid for it. I hope. Maybe I'm a dum-dum.
But when is the revolt? Like, you look at, what was it, North Korea, that like it was like less than 24 hours. Then you look at Nepal, that's like burning people, which I was
Gen Zers did a whole they took down the government in Nepal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When do we have the Arab Spring? When do we have like?
Well, there's that.
Where is our breaking point? Because it's you're talking about Patreon, but like there's so much more that has to happen before we hit Patreon.
I agree. I think that's a really good point.
OnlyFans got to go. When OnlyFans go, okay, now there's stuff's got to go. Pete's on OnlyFans in his car.
Can I plug my OnlyFans?
I hope not. Oh God, please.
I like you. I'm actually a member of yours. Yours is called OnlyFan. But listen,
oh God, yes, I never heard that joke, dummy.
Listen, folks, I think that's a really good point that Liz is making about how other countries and when the public stands up and protests. And I think the problem with America is there's not enough suffering for us to do that. And there's not enough uniformity, and there's so much apathy. When do I go out and march? This Honda Civic has AC. I'm very comfortable here on your show.
But the truth of the matter is the reason we're even here is because people were suffering. They felt like Trump was acknowledging that everything was more expensive and that he was going to fix it. And he didn't. But the truth of the matter is that people voted for him because they were already suffering. So
I think, but I think you're right about that. And I think that it's possible, very possible, that the economy will continue to spiral downwards. Whether or not it affects people's 401ks in the markets, which is a really interesting and important issue to why there's such a disconnect with the troubling economy, slowing economy, and yet the market is on fire, stock markets and investment markets. But
yeah, but like I don't have a 401k. I mean, I'm irresponsible, but like that doesn't affect me. Like the stock market, like I understand on a global level that it's huge and it affects the world. But at the end of the day, it is people being able to pay their bills. And so I think it's interesting that like, yes, if I have a bunch of money or I saved a bunch of money in the 401k stocks, I'm going to be angry. But like, if I can't even feed my kids.
Yes, I fully agree. But that's what I mean, And by the way, Liz does have a shoebox. I've seen it. It's filled with,
cash.
it's filled with ones and gems. I don't know what the
This is
rubies are about. They're not worth that much.
Are
But
we on the path to like The Last of Us being like a documentary about our future? I don't mean a disease, but like
no. But Liz's point is, I'm making fun of poverty and people in poverty, but most people don't have their money in investment accounts. The vast majority of Americans, though, do go to grocery stores. So that's what I'm saying. I think when things get bad enough at the grocery store and at the gas station and everywhere else, and your rent and everything else, that the pandemic is the only reason Trump lost. We probably need that kind of suffering to break the apathy, is my sad point of view.
Dude, the other side to this though, Pete, I mean, if they get rid of Midas Touch, we could get a lot of subscribers.
That's a good point.
I mean, I hate to say that. I don't want to be selfish, folks. I like those guys. I like Ben and all of them. I'm just saying, if God forbid they just took them, and I'm free. Substack, it's free. Sign up. Come over here.
By the way, I've tried to watch the Midas Touch. I can't. All it is plugging themselves. The entire show, it's just them. Most of us comedians and others are not you, Dean, but others have shame around plugs. These guys, it's just a plug show. I don't even know what they do. It's just subscribe to Midas Touch. All right, I'm done.
You've never heard my show. My show I describe as an infomercial interrupted by news. That's what my show is.
I get 19 emails from your Substack every hour.
No, I only do I do one thing a day. Not more, because I don't want to the point where you get like that. And people say, I don't want to watch you.
I'm joking. I love you.
No,
Dean.
no. I'm talking about Liz Miele and
this
Pete
is
Dominick.
what Dean and I do.
So look, the thing is, the goal of Trump is not to knock everyone off the air. It truly isn't. It's not to put everyone in jail. It's for self-censorship, that everyone just stops and nobody and then no bad things happen to you. And that's the goal. And I fear that there'll be a bunch of Americans that'll go like, okay, we'll just be quiet around the edges. He's going to be gone. How long is he going to live? Look at him. He looks like crap. I'm like, that shouldn't give you solace, because evil lives a long time. He could be there a long time.
We all read 1984.
Right.
Liz was too young, but the rest of us.
Have you read 1984, Liz?
I was born in 85, but I still read the book.
You're still allowed to read the book, right? It's not like you had to be born.
I know Pete doesn't understand how libraries work, but
he's living in his car. He's living the good life. Honda Civic.
They also make you read Catch a Rising Star. Catch a. Oh, I went
Catcher in the Rye. You stink.
Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, now it's become. We should could we get Jim Norton to join us just to make fun of him?
You named a comedy club.
That's like out of business too.
So, all right, self-censorship to me is the ally of the dictator. It is the most nefarious. It's the most effective. In Russia, we all know you don't have the freedom to say what you want. There's only about 1,500 political prisoners in a country of like tens of millions of people, because that was enough just to do that, where everyone goes, okay, it's just not worth it. I'm not going to die because they put poison on my door handle. Not going to do it. That's all you have to do. Trump is trying to do that. And then his rich oligarch friends are buying up the media. Like the Ellisons are going to maybe buy Warner Brothers, which owns CNN. They already own Paramount, Skydance, and they're going to own part of TikTok. This is like the Hungary model where Viktor Orban, where his buddies bought all the big media outlets.
By the way, I mean, and that's a really terrifying idea, but I feel the need to admit, when we work together, I put poison on your office doorknob all the time, and it never, ever worked. I
became immune because I knew you were going to do that. It's like the Princess Bride, who we drank, is it iodine, whatever the point was, the poison was.
But it's like, I mean, in Russia, when you criticize the president, they push you out a window. I mean, that's right. How bad does it get? Who knows? It's anybody's best guess. I mean, they're going to put us in camps and have to listen to your album. It could be bad.
They're going to put us in Honda Civics, where you're just driving, getting Wi-Fi outside of a Residence Inn. This is your life. Pete's living the life, living the dream. Look, this is not even my apartment. This is a backdrop. This is nothing. I'm in a Ford Escort. So, all right, let's talk about, we're all in car. No, Pete's actually in a car. So what do you want? We'll do this and we'll go to a break. What do you want Democrats to do? Or is it just on the people? Or is it a combination of that in terms of fighting back? Now, the stakes are really high. And I will say the Democrats did respond sort of in one voice because it was visceral. Like even Chuck Schumer put out a tersely worded letter. There's a statement there with the nouns and verbs all agree. Yeah. He was really like, this is important. But others, like Eric Swalwell, was like, preserve your records. He was in Congress telling Brendan Carr, FCC chair, preserve your record. We're going to come for you. And others saying, we're opening up investigations. Do you think they should be threatening Republicans, like this continues when we get power or blue state AGs, we're going to shut down your companies. We're going all at it until you stop doing this, until you stop Donald Trump. I mean, Liz, what do you want to see from Democrats, let's say, if people in power?
mean, I want them to do something, like work at it and get ready, or I don't even know, but like I read somewhere that like shouldn't people be investigating like Nexstar and like the other companies
Yes.
for, you know
And
what I
they
mean?
have.
Yeah, because it's just like, I mean, my basic understanding is that the reason the government has control over mergers is because of monopoly laws. And we've already blurred that line because we have monopolies. We
Right.
do. We have them. And you know, we talk about, well, maybe we should break up Meta because it's becoming a monopoly, but let's like you let it become that. Like, and then let's do it. But that's not going to happen under this administration. So it's just like, you know, playing favors, right? So that these people can have the mergers and make the money that they're going to make. But all this stuff that's happening, whether it's under Trump or before, has been shady. So it's just like, let's go back and start rummaging through their files and start finding them accountable.
Interesting. Right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't believe that they're not doing anything shady. And this is the shadiest.
And
One of
that's
the
a good
things,
point. Go ahead, Pete.
well, your question was what should Democrats do? And, I agree with Liz on everything, but one of the things they should do, you mentioned Chuck Schumer, he should resign right away because he's completely ineffective. He's an old doddering fool. And so should Hakeem Jeffries, has sold out
He's done
to,
nothing.
to his special interests, to say the least. And so there are a lot of amazing, I've interviewed him, you've interviewed him, young, passionate, really effective Democrats, from AOC and Jasmine Crockett to Jared Moskowitz and Swalwell and Raskin in the House, to Chris Murphy and, Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren, I think, is still very effective, and so many more in the Senate. So I think that the ineffective people need to go away. Certainly our senators in New York both need to resign. That's not going to happen because people don't let go of power even when they're dying. Dianne Feinstein. But that's one thing that we need, new leaders, because we have some amazing Democrats in the House. I'm not a cynical, person about. I think there's some really great public servants at the local and state level. We need to elect more people like that. And I think we can. And I think that we should if we have free and fair elections. So that's number one, is what Democrats should do. Liz mentioned investigations. We don't have the power to necessarily launch investigations when we don't have majority in either the House.
Well, we have Democratic AGs, and these companies have offices in every state, just about. That's why we want Democratic AGs to step up.
Absolutely. So at the state level and local level, you can do a lot more. But also, things like the whatever they're calling it, oligarchy tour. Things like
fight the oligarchy tour.
Getting media attention by doing unorthodox things is a great, great idea. And every Democrat should be using all forms of new media, should be talking on Instagram Live and so on, firing people up, organize, and never stop speaking, because they want us. It's terrifying out here right now, even on your show. And but yet I come bravely in a Toyota Corolla. I just changed cars.
We're going to take a break. I want to come back and talk about all the late night hosts in their own way, but in similar themes. When last night stood up for Jimmy Kimmel using comedy, and Jon Stewart even did a special Thursday hosting.
Fallon was a coward. Fallon was a coward last night. I'll tell you why.
Okay, we'll take a break. We're going to come back and have Pete tell us why Jimmy Fallon was a coward. See that? There's a tease, folks. Yeah, they say I can't do it. Look at that. That's a. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more of this show after this. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're still live here, Friday, September 19th. Our friends Pete Dominick and Liz Miele. So, Pete, I was going to say how the late night comics went up there. Well, Stewart did a great job. Jon Stewart did an entire show as this parody of himself, saying, "I'm here with the compliant." They had the new open for the show. It said here from Comedy Central, it's the all new government approved Daily Show with your patriotically obedient host, Jon Stewart. And he says, we have another fun, hilarious administration compliant show for you. And the whole thing was him, the entire show was him telling the audience, stop laughing. Like, and him doing this whole thing about like he was.
And the little graphics were in gold frames. Everything was in gold. It was very, very tasteful.
Right. Look at the Trump thing. And he was defending I have to be honest, watching John talk about some of the Trump stuff and the way he was doing it is not far from Newsmax and especially OAN from that guy, Brian.
And the cabinet.
Right. And they can't, like, it wasn't, it's harder to elevate, to enhance the economy here. When we're already up here. So, all right, let's start with you, Pete, because you said you didn't like what Jimmy did. Why is he a coward?
Jimmy Fallon. I
Yeah,
love
that's what
what
I meant.
Colbert did. I thought Colbert was brave. He called out Brendan Carr by name. He called out the FCC by name. He did funny bits. They did an amazing animated bit, really well done, which is parodying the cowardice of Disney, the parent company of ABC. And I loved it. And I love what John did by showing up on a Thursday. Usually only works 1 day a week. Comes on Thursday, did what you guys just described. But Jimmy Fallon said, I stand with Jimmy Kimmel, and I hope he comes back. And he did some jokes about it, but they weren't cutting, which is fine. But the thing that really bothered me was that Jimmy Fallon said, quote, "I don't know what's happening, and nobody does." Yeah,
No, you do.
That's cowardice.
He said
He knows
that.
exactly.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I only watched the monologue.
We all know what's happening. And I went on 9 networks, and anybody will invite me to talk about this. And I don't have any money. I have a lot more to lose than Jimmy Fallon does. And this guy has no courage. He never has. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know him. I think he's funny. I'm not going to say he's not, but this is not the time for that bullshit.
I know Jimmy Fallon. I used to work with him SNL. Very nice guy, but he was never political. He never was about these kind of issues whatsoever. In fact, remember his success early on.
But it's in your backyard. You can't say you're not political.
It's your friend. Right. It's your friend.
No. I'm not defending him. I'm saying, you were saying I didn't know him. I'm like saying he's always been a very nice guy. I haven't seen him in years now, but we had worked together for years. But there's no defense for saying, I don't know what's going on. Of course you know what's going on. Liz, do you think it's important though, the late night comics Fallon, just so people know, he did a monologue where he was doing jokes about Trump and he was mocking Trump, but then they had a voice that dubbed in over it saying good things about Trump. So he was, and at some level, they're reaching some younger people who might not follow politics closer. They heard about Kimmel, and now they're getting a sense, wow, this administration's all about suppression of free speech. And young people especially hate that. So I think it's important that they all in one voice did the similar kind of jokes, alerting people they're coming for your freedom of speech. You got to comply with the government or Trump's going to come get you. And I think that's really important.
And it's interesting because you think about like the Smothers Brothers and them being silenced, and to see it be on like a wider scale where it's coming after all late night comedy. It's then going to come off after news networks. And I mean, I think everybody knows the time to have fight was day one. And I think there were some people doing that, but we're here, we're in it, it's happening. You know what I mean? Like it's the idea of somebody being like, I hope I don't get kidnapped, and somebody being in the van with their mouth taped. Like it's happening, girl. Right. Like you use your nails. Like I for anybody not to be fighting tooth or nail right now is insane.
That was a really interesting analogy. Very jarring.
Yeah, and it was really awkward for me because I'm in my car right now with someone with their mouth tape. But that's
no. I saw somebody wiggling in the back, and I was
just something that she and I are into.
Yeah, I was gonna say this Patreon is incredible.
So, to Pete's point, look, you can go in a comedy club every night and trash Trump. You can trash Charlie Kirk if you want every night. If you're not famous, someone might go to the club manager like, I don't like those jokes. I'm like, okay, whatever. But if you're not famous, you can get away with it. I'm concerned about the self-censorship that you're going to see all over. Do you think club managers will start saying things to people? And the reason I say that, right after 9/11, I was told, and I was not a well-known comedian, but I was doing comedy then, and Liz wasn't born, of course. And
you hosted the first show I ever did.
I'm kidding. I know. I'm kidding.
2002.
Right. So I did, after 9/11, the manager at Stand Up New York called me in for a meeting. The guy, Jerry, do you remember Jerry from a long time ago?
Oh,
and he said, we're having a meeting with all the comics after 9/11 to talk about our kind of rules and stuff. And I go there. I'm the only person in the meeting. It's me. And he goes, Dean, he goes, I brought you in because I'm concerned that you're of Arab heritage and you might not want to talk about it on stage right now because they were, we're reopening and all this kind of stuff. And people are, and he didn't say it he wasn't framing it as like, the club doesn't want you to talk about it. It's like, we think it's going to make you unsafe. And then I'm like, well, it's a good thought. I thought about it for a little while. And then I'm there like a few days later with Mark Maron's in the show, screaming at Carrie Hoffman, the owner, because Carrie's telling him no jokes about 9/11. He was telling him in a different way. And Mark literally yelling, because that's how Mark was, an angry guy for a long time.
Yeah.
He's much nicer now. Literally yelling
back-
at Carrie Hoffman, don't tell me what to say. I was like, wow.
By the way, real quick, funny story about back then. Comedian Mitch Fatel and comedian Nick DiPaolo got in an argument about 9/11 jokes because Nick was making 9/11 jokes shortly after. And Mitch Fatel, who's all about like sex jokes, said to Nick, hey, I think it's a little bit insensitive and too soon. And Nick said, if those planes crashed into two cocks, you'd be making plenty of jokes. And I just thought that was two comedians ribbing each other, but it's a really good point that you're talking about in terms of self-censorship. And, you know, it's an important point also to make that comedians across the spectrum from far right to far left agreed on defending speech. You said, Dean, I think young people are really worried about, you know, their speech and care a lot about their speech. I don't know if young people do. I don't know if older people do. I know that a lot of Americans only want to hear the things that they agree with, and they don't mind things they disagree with being censored. If you're an American and you care about the First Amendment, you should understand and have the belief, certainly if you're someone who speaks out publicly, much less a comedian, we should all agree that we should defend the speech that we hate as well, period.
And I just want to note, I'm wearing a red, white, and blue shirt, which I'm wearing every day now. This one is more subtle. It just says red, white, and blue on the collar. But when this is the world we live in. I'll say anything on stage, but I self-censor in my own way, consistent with my values. I'm sure, Liz, you could say anything you want on stage. You don't say certain things because they're not consistent with who you are as a person.
But I find it so interesting because, like, I've had fans be like, hey, don't get all political. And I was like, my whole life is political. I am a unmarried woman that speaks her mind publicly, travels by herself, has her own credit card, you know, has never had kids. Like you don't understand.
Do you have a chaperone? Do you have a chaperone?
Just my cats. They call every hour on the hour.
This is not good. This is going to change. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But do you understand? Like, it's like, why would I not fight for, one, the freedoms that I already have and rapidly losing, but also the freedoms, because that's what it is people don't understand. For you to even say, hey, you shouldn't say that is freedom of speech. Like, for you to even have something in front of you that you don't like is freedom of speech. So it's like, you have to fight for the stuff, even if you don't partake. You don't want an abortion? Don't have an abortion. That's fine. But you have to fight for the right for everybody to have access to it. The same way that I want the most updated COVID vaccine. This is insane. I should be able to get one. Like, you have to fight for the right of whether you're going to use it or not. And if you want to self-censor, that's on you, but you shouldn't have to tell me not to say what I want to say.
Right. And Pete, when I was saying about younger people, what I'm saying is that younger people are inherently rebellious in general. Of course, these are broad strokes. So if you say you can't say something, they say it more. You know, they're the ones, and they have the least to lose. Usually they're 17, 18, they're 19, they're in college. Like, I'm saying whatever I want. I don't care, blah, blah, which is fine. I like that rebelliousness. I like that. And you need that kind of spark. So it's going to be interesting. But before, like, I want to talk for a second for Liz Miele. She has a comedy album out, Space Camp. And Pete's got one called Live from a Honda Civic, right? You've got that one coming up pretty soon. Tell us for a minute about Space Camp, because I don't want to just forget about it and throw it at the end.
Go live from your Honda Civic.
Live,
get it.
That's
get
even
it
better.
Right.
Live from your Honda Civic. Like, honey, who's in our Honda Civic? It's Pete Dominick. Here he is. Liz, tell us about your special. We'll go to one more topic afterwards. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's called Space Camp. It's a special. It's on punchup.live/Liz Miele. It's pay what you want. It's cat jokes. My boyfriend had a botched vasectomy. There's that story in there. Oh yeah, it's my epic closer. Lots of callbacks. The cats are very asleep, but they're alive. But there's some stories about them almost dying. I'm very proud of it. And yeah, everything is lizmiele.com.
Punchup.live/Liz Miele. I never heard of that website, but it's going to be shut down by the government.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, a lot of comedians are on it.
You have no political jokes? It's been vetted for politics?
Yes, it's shut down immediately. I actually have to move it right now.
Check out Liz's special, Space Camp. She's very, very funny. I saw clips online. I thought it was very great stuff, because you had sent me something about promoting it, or like,
yeah, like, seriously though, like, we always plug stuff, and we just do it, and people, listeners, just hear it. But like, actually go watch Liz's special. Like, I'm excited to go watch it, and I like the pay what you want. I'm gonna go pay for it. Just a few dollars because I live in a car. But people should really, like, Liz is a really good person, a really hardworking person, and a super talented comedian. And so I just want to just like, don't just hear the plug. Like, go watch and go send her your money. Like, give this woman, this amazing artist who's always been really, worked so hard, and like really actually do it. Go listen to it and you'll love it, and give her money. And I'm so sorry about.
I don't want to end up in my car.
That, like Pete, the Pete's a cautionary tale now. Like the Pete Dominick, you don't want to be Pete down there like that. And but poor Liz, I mean, her boyfriend lost his penis, so you've got.
I don't think that's what it meant. I don't know.
They have the
you won't know until you watch the special.
All right, so there's a vasectomy. It's so what the most sensitive part of a guy, and like you're up there telling jokes about it, he's okay with it.
It's so funny because it happened 3 months into us dating. Is he had like, yeah, and he's fine. I mean, there's the whole, that's what I've been quoted back and forth, because I start out many jokes being like, he's fine. But his mom was the one that's like, is Liz going to talk about this in her act? And I was like, I know enough about men to not talk about balls. Like, that's what I know. And he's like, if you want to. And so I ended up talking about it, and not only did it like it turned into a 10-minute story, but I turned it into a script, and I've been filming like parts of the script. And
that's awesome.
Jason Salman is playing my boyfriend's covered in tattoos, so I put fake tattoos all over Jason Salman. I put him in one of my boyfriend's shirts. He's in his apartment, and we filmed one of the scenes from it.
That's great.
And I showed it to my boyfriend. He's like, "This is like one of the worst times of my life." And there's a guy wearing my shirt, pretending to limp. Like,
how long have you been dating Jason Salman?
I know, right? No, he's
Jason's been on the show. He's funny. I love Jason.
Sometimes like comedians are constantly looking for material from their life. And I mean, I had a vasectomy, and it gave me like 20 minutes. And so like, if you're close to anybody who has a vasectomy and you're a comic, you got to mind that. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what a good boyfriend does. They go, I know I can't walk right now, but you need to write the jokes.
So Peter, you're saying if you need more material for a comedian, get a medical procedure? Is that like the small?
If you want to have material in life, you have to live life, not just sit in your car.
Pete Dominick, Liz Miele. All right, let's see what we see. Okay, we're gonna finish on something else. We've explored as much as we could of Jimmy Kimmel. We have a few minutes left. I am really worried about this Kamala Harris book that is going to, the more excerpts I see, the more that it's now that there's things in there. She talks honestly about stuff, but about, Joe Biden was reckless in certain ways, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. She has every right to write the book. I'll probably buy it. I think it's interesting. But in it now, there are new excerpts out today where she takes shots at Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, saying like he's egotistical about himself. I'm like, oh no, not now. Like, it's good, but Democrats, we have enough trouble. Segments on cable news are gonna be just Democrats fighting with each other over this book. I'm like, this is the worst thing, and she has every right to bring it out. That's fine, but I'm just saying I'm worried because I know what the corporate media is going to do with it. They're going to use it as a cudgel to divide Democrats every day on TV.
Yeah, but also be like, we told you. We told you. We told you they were a mess. We told you they couldn't lead, and we told you. And it's just like, I mean, I agree, like, get your money, girl. Like, it didn't work out for you. But at the same time, it's like, I know enough to know that like Obama kind of came out of nowhere. Like, he was just like this beacon in the sky when he appeared, and that whoever is going to be our next person is, he might not have been, talked about yet or whatever, but it is a little bit like, come on, we have like 6 people that are doing a decent job. Why? Shit on Biden.
Every right to, but what do you think, Pete? I mean, do you think this is her? What Liz suggested that like, this is Kamala's. She's never going to run again. This is like, I'm going to make money on this and move on, which is her. She has every right to do it. That's like,
I'm outraged at you.
Me?
For with the time that we have left, this is the topic that you into. And in the intro, you said, I'm worried about what the corporate media is. You are the corporate media, and you just brought it up.
I'm not going to have, because it's going to be everywhere. I'm not going to have Democrats on to fight each other. That's what corporate media is going to do. Okay. Well, they're going to be like, well, I know, Congressman, you're here to talk about this, but did you see Vice President Harris' book? What do you think of that? That's what they're going to do. I'm never going to do that. Never.
I'll tell you what I think about Kamala Harris's new book. I want to see the Epstein files. I'm taking back your show and bringing it to a more important issue that we should be talking about. I could think about 5,000 more important issues than this one. I'm so mad at you for, I think you should, you know what? I live in a car.
Is this because you can't read, Pete? That's what I'm getting.
I'll listen to the book.
It's an audiobook. It plays in the Honda Civic. And what, look, all right, Pete, it's a fair thing. The story selection is important, but I was just going through topics. I'm like, I think maybe we can finish on this one, but Pete made it impossible to finish on that one. I hope you run out of gas. I hope you run out of gas in your car.
I already did.
Are you going to gigs, by the way? We have like 2 minutes left. I'd love you to plug something, Pete. What Liz did her thing. What do you got going on? Besides,
all I'm doing,
you need gas money. What should we send you?
All I do is my daily podcast. I hope people will come listen to it. We have built an amazing community around it. But more importantly than that, you really should go watch Liz Miele's comedy special, and you should pay her. If you watch it for free, you're worse than Brendan Carr, Stephen Miller, and JD Vance. Go watch. If you don't watch it, and if you don't watch it and pay for it, you're worse than all three of them. And I think that you should lose your job. So go watch Liz's comedy special and pay her as much money as you possibly can.
This has turned into, and Pete, by the way, people want to find your
clip.
Special. We'll send you a clip. Where if people want to find your podcast because they're worried about you, like where can they go?
At the Honda dealership in Syracuse.
You should get Honda as a dealer, as a sponsor.
Standupwithpete.com everywhere.
Standupwithpete.com. He has great stuff. I see it. You post a lot.
Just do this. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, for God's sake. It's free. YouTube.com/standupwithpete. Listeners of Dean's show. I love Dean. I admire Dean. Dean and I have known each other our whole careers. I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm so glad that you're speaking out and that you guys still have your freedom of speech at SiriusXM. And I really appreciate you having me on. And it's so great to see Liz. I'm just going to be serious and thoughtful.
Thank you. And again, Liz's special Space Camp. And Liz, what's your socials in case people want to follow you there before we wrap up?
Everything's at Liz Miele, Miele, and Pete knows I love him, but that was very nice.
It was great to have you both, this love fest here. I really appreciate it. And I feel bad. We're going to help Pete. Help Pete get out of his car. We should do a fund. All right. Thank you, Pete. Thanks, Residence Inn, for letting Pete use the free Wi-Fi parking lot, which he did. Thanks, Liz. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon, guys.